time for my Bible story. I did this once today and it didn't work out. That's right, Chesley. We did it today. We had our Bible story out. We did the video, and then it didn't work out. It didn't have any sound in it. You know what? Did you forget to turn it on? Chesley, I had the sound up in some way when I went to download it. It didn't work out. But we are back today, tonight, and we're glad to be here. And I'm going to sing our theme song. This gospel train is chugging at the track. Chugging at the track, it's chugging at the track. This gospel train is chugging at the track, chugging to the glory land. Oh, Chesley, when we get to heaven, we get to see Jesus. Gonna see Jesus, yes I am. Gonna see Jesus, yes I am. Yes I am, yes I am. When you go to heaven. When we go to heaven, that's right. And who can go? Anyone that loves the Lord wants to live the Lord all the days of their life. That's right. We love Him and serve Him and just read the Bible and do what it says. And that's just acting like Jesus. That's right, being like Jesus. But Chesley, our story today, we're going to talk about holding a grudge. We're going to talk about a man who did not hold a grudge. You know, your grudges is when somebody does something wrong to you and it makes you mad and so you're mean to it. Oh, Chesley, you know, when we have a grudge against somebody, they may have done us wrong, and we think they did me wrong. They may have. But should we hold a grudge? Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Oh, no, Chesley, we should not hold a grudge. You know, when you hold a grudge against somebody, really, you can't enjoy life because you're always thinking you're going to get them back. That's right. People think, well, I'm just going to get them back. They did this to me, so now I'm going to do something to them. Did you know something? What, Chesley? Jesus wasn't like that. Jesus was not like that. He was a good example. Even though he was done very, very wrong, he did not hold a grudge. He forgave him. He forgave. Now, he wasn't a pushover and just whatever you want to do. He wasn't like as a floor mat. But you know what he did? He knew that it was because they didn't have the love of God in their heart. That's why they did it. And so he came to show them a different way. He came to show them a different way. That's right. To show them the way of love and forgiveness. Now, Chesley, in our story today, it goes back in the book of Genesis. Oh, yeah, that's in train car number 1. Yes, so if we have the books in the Bible, if we say that they represent like one of our train cars, well, that would be Genesis. It's the number 1 train car here. After the engine. All right, Chesley, we know there was this boy was born. His name was Joseph. And he was a favorite. He was the favorite of his dad, Jacob. In fact, his dad just loved him so much and made such a difference in him that it made his brothers hate him. Oh, no, that's not going to be good now. They had a grudge against their brother because their dad showed favoritism. You shouldn't do that. It's very wrong. But it happened. But Joseph couldn't help it that his daddy favored him like he did. And how did he do that? Did he get the special gifts? Chesley, I don't know about a special gift, but one thing he got was very special. He had a coat that was of many colors. And what it designated was that he was really, he was the favorite. He was the favorite. That's the way the dad just did. It wasn't any doubt about it. He made it clear. The dad always wanted this boy taken care of. And any time his brothers saw him, they didn't like him. When his brothers saw him, that's right. They had a grudge against him. And it wasn't Joseph's fault. It was not Joseph's fault. But they had such a grudge against him. And the older he got, when he became something like a teenager, he had these wonderful dreams, 2 dreams. And in it, he was going to be really famous. He was going to be a leader. And actually that his parents and his brothers were actually going to bow down to him. They were going to worship him? Oh, no, they were going to worship him. But there in that land, when you was a leader there, that's how you expressed it, a shaking of the hands. They would actually bow to them. Okay. And so he thought they was going to do that, and they said they weren't going to do it, and they hated that kid. They did. They hated their brother. They hated him, Chesley. It's a terrible thing. They did. They hated him instead of just disliking him, and they started thinking about killing him. No, that's just terrible. I think he there to tell his dad. I don't know if he knew it or not, but you know what? In spite of what they were going to do, now it wasn't God's plan for them to be mean. No, God's not going to do that. We're not going to do it. He's not. No, he never wants anybody to be mean and hateful like that and hold a grudge. But you know what? They may have, but God had a plan for Joseph. And you know what? It's going to win. It is going to win. We know that, but it didn't look like that, Chesley. We get into our story, we're going to find out, what they did to Joseph. One day their dad sent him to go and look after the brothers and said where they are, go check on them. But when they saw him coming, I know what they said, we don't like him, we had a grudge against him. And they said, let's go hide him. Well, Chesley, more than hide him, they said, why don't we just kill him? No, that's just awful. They can't do that. But Chesley, that was their plan. They said, let's just do that. Let's just kill him. And then one of the brothers said, well, why rather than kill him, just wait a minute here, said, and there was this pit they could put him, and then it's going to be dark in there and he's going to be scared. Is it like my trunk? Chesley, no, it wasn't like your trunk. It was worse than that, Chesley. They weren't going to come and get him. He's going to have a lid on it. It was an awful thing. But one of the brothers said, oh, well, he said, why, let's just don't kill him. And so what happened, here comes some traders by. And so they traded him for, Chesley, they got some money out of him. They said, here's this guy, you can have him. And so they gave him money, and so they made him a slave. Those people took him as a slave. Now, and he has a grudge against it. He could have had a grudge against them. But somehow, Joseph knew, I really believe this, in his heart, he knew that God had given him those dreams. It wasn't just they're eating wrong food. Sometimes we can eat something, bad or something. You might have a crazy dream. I've heard that. But anyhow, Chesley, he knew, some way he knew in his heart of hearts, and he knew that this was God. God has a plan for my life. And so he didn't hold a grudge, or I think I would have thought it ain't going to happen now. It would have looked like it can't happen now. I'm a slave. I don't have any rights. But you know what they did? They sold him. They sold him all night, just selling him around like he's a piece of, like a furniture. Well, that was just to them. They didn't even care. These people, they thought, well, okay, we've given money for him, and maybe they got some work out of him. Well, let's sell him. And so they sold him to a famous person. Now things are going to go good for him. He's going to tell us what happened, and he's going to get to go through. Chesley, it didn't happen that way. Now, at first, it looked like things were really going good for him because, this man, Potiphar, he found out what a great guy. This is a wonderful servant that I have here. And he just put everything in his control. You can just take care of all. Oh, you mean he was like a manager? He was like the whole manager of this man's household. In fact, everything that he had, he knew Joseph was dependable. And is he missing his parents? Yes, he was missing his parents. I'm sure that he was. He didn't miss those brothers. All the brothers, he didn't think they were going to come back. But all because of the grudge and the hatred they had toward him. And now Joseph is suffering. Joseph is suffering, but you know what? Though God did not want this to happen, because it did happen, he had a plan. And it was going to be a very good plan. But it just looked like it wasn't working out that way. Before it's all over with, next thing we know, Joseph, somebody told a lie on him, and next thing you know, he's in prison for doing something he didn't do. It's going from bad to worse. That's what it looked like, from bad to worse. But you know what was really happening? It was going from bad to better. It was getting better. Didn't look that way. I don't think so, because he got lied on, and his brothers hated him, and they got a grudge against him, and he got thrown in a pit. Yeah, he got thrown in a pit. They pulled him out, and they sold him for a slave. Yeah, and then those people sold him. And he had it really good. Because he was like a boss man there. He was like a boss man there. And now his master's wife told a lie on him and all that. So now he's in prison. It can't be good. Chesley, it would have been easy to hold a grudge. But somehow he couldn't get away from those dreams. I don't see how it can happen. Chesley, he didn't know how it was going to happen, but he trusted God. Well, they're in the prison. They found out. Well, the man over the prison said, he's great. Is he going to be the boss man? Next thing you know, he's in charge of the prison. He's in charge of everybody, because they realize, this man in charge recognized, this is a faithful man. He's been lied on. So, still he's in prison. I know he's still in prison. And what about those dreams? Well, Chesley, did you know there was a person there in the prison that, in fact, two men had dreams, and they didn't know what to do with those dreams. What's it got to do with him? Well, dreams. He knows about dreams. Oh, yeah, that's right. He knows about dreams. He's had a dream. He knew how real they are to him. They hadn't come to pass yet, but he knew. He felt like God was going to do it. And because God is faithful. Look what about these guys. They told him their dreams, and they said, we don't know what it is. And Joseph said, well, he would pray, and he would ask God, because he said God is the one that can reveal that. And so God did it, and then what happened then? Well, each one, what he had said, it is what happened. And one of them lost his life, That's what the dream was, and that's what happened. And the other one, he got to go back and work in the palace and be the king's cupbearer. No, and so now, I know what's going to happen now. I know what it's going to be. Well, what do you think it's going to be? Well, I tell you what, he's going to tell that Pharaoh there, that guy like the king, he's going to say, I know a great guy that you need to be one of your advisors. His name is Joseph, and he can interpret dreams. It didn't happen that way. Now, it just looked like, in fact, Joseph said, don't forget me. He said, when you go back to your job and you're there with Pharaoh, please tell him about what that, I've been done unjustly. Oh, yeah, and so he's so excited. I really believe he did get excited. But he waited and he waited, and he kept working, and then one day it didn't happen. Time went by, and years went by, and here he was, and it's just not there. And so he has a grudge now. He's going to go get them. No, Chesley, he didn't have a grudge. But God had a plan, and everything was actually getting better when it didn't look like that. But Chesley, in all this job that he'd had, he's getting leadership training, really. And so, and then what? Well, Chesley, one day, the Pharaoh had a dream that he didn't know what it meant. And so, did he just know about Joseph? He may not know about Joseph right then, but you know what? The cupbearer found out. Oh, I know who that is. He's the one that Joseph interpreted his dream. Yes, he did. Joseph interpreted his dream. And the Pharaoh was saying, I don't know what I've had 2 dreams. And so I just can't get away from them. And I don't know what they mean. And he asked all his really intelligent people supposed to know things like that. And they, you know what it was? I know who it is. It's Joseph. It's Joseph that does. And you know what? That cupbearer said, Oh, there's something I should have told you. The king wanted to know, or the Pharaoh, just like a king. What? And he said, I know someone that can help you here. That's right. He said, oh my, I should have told you this a long time ago. He said, there's this man in the prison, and he told him about Joseph, and said he can interpret dreams because God is with him. Because, yes, God is with him. He doesn't know it all by himself, not in his own mind. Oh, and the kings and the Pharaoh said, go get this man right now. That's what, go get him as quick as you can. And here was Joseph. I mean, here he was his father's favorite, and he had these dreams, and he told his brothers, and they hated him, and then they, sold him, and they put him in a pit, and then he'd been sold to somebody else, been lied on, and then he's in prison. It just looked like it isn't going to happen. God's not going to do it. But God knew just the right time. And that man entered it just at the right time. Yes, that cupbearer remembered just at this important time. Oh, can you imagine what it was for Joseph? He starts in, here he is, gets up that morning, and he's a prisoner. He's still a prisoner, and now here he has been called before the king. He doesn't know what all's going on, but you know what I know he was doing? He was calling on God, and I know one thing he could have said was, or he could have been real bitter. He could have been bitter. Yes, he could have. And said, I got some cheating brothers, and I hate. No, he didn't have that. No grudges against his brothers. He just got ready. He made sure he looked good, and he was all clean, he smelled good. Yeah, he wanted to smell good too. Well, he got before the Pharaoh, and Pharaoh told him about these dreams. And you know what Joseph said? No, God can help us. God will help us. He will tell me. And he sought God. He prayed. And the Lord told him what was going to happen. They were going to face a terrible famine. Said right now it's going to be 7 years of plenty. And then all of a sudden it's going to be no rain. It was just going to be no rain. It was going to be an awful time. And so he said, what you need to do, Pharaoh, is that you need to have somebody that can find the brightest, sharpest person you can that's very good at things like this. They need to put those things right now while there's plenty of food, and save it and store it in, and then have it ready. Yes, have it ready, because he said there's been 2 years of famine, and there's going to be 5 more. So he said you need somebody to start planning and organizing. I know who it is. I think I got a good choice. Well, what is your choice? I think it should be Joseph. And that's exactly what Pharaoh said. He said, well, since you have this plan that you've laid out, he said, who else could I get better than you? No, and just like that, he got promoted. He got promoted. Chesley, what if he had been sitting, soaking and souring, being mad and been holding a grudge and said, you just let him get my hands on those brothers. Yeah, you could have said, I'm gonna cut him in teeth. Oh, he could have said all kinds of mean things. But he'd been faithful to God, and God is faithful to him. And you know what the lesson is in this? It says we should not hold a grudge. It is very dangerous to hold a grudge. If we hold a grudge, it's a very unhappy time. You know, it's like one person said, it's like whatever you do, that person, it's like if you're eating, it's like they're in your plate. You know, it's just, you can't get your mind off of it. And it's just better to commit it to God. And that is sometimes really hard when we've been done really wrongs, and we've all had something happen. It just really hurts your feelings. It hurt their feelings. It looked impossible, but look what God did in Joseph's life. And his brothers just knew, you know, when the time came, you know, here he is the leader now of the land, and the king, I want to say king, but he was the title was Pharaoh then. But Pharaoh, you know, when it came a time when it got so bad that people from other countries were coming, like from Canaan. Here they came from Canaan. Oh, and that's where Joseph's family is. That's where Joseph's family is. And what happened when they was hungry and the drought, the famine was even there? I know what they did. They came to Egypt there, and there was Joseph, and they got scared when they saw him. They didn't recognize him. They came, and Joseph recognized him immediately, and he changed his name. Well, Chesley, the way he was dressed and all, you know, because here he was now, he looked regal. I mean, he was the over the land. It means he was just right under Pharaoh, just right under Pharaoh. That's right. I'll tell you what, Chesley, when he saw them, he thought, oh, that's my brothers. You know, he said, I'm going to put him in prison. Oh, Chesley, no. Now, he did test them to make sure that they had changed, and they had, and so then they left, and they came. He said, when they came back, said, no use in you coming back unless you said you've told me all about your family and that you have your fathers. Oh, he was so happy to know his dad is still with him, and his little brother, yes, Benjamin, and he made sure that they loved him, and they didn't treat him like they did him. That's right, they didn't treat him like they did Joseph, and he thought, they've really changed. They've really changed. And so finally when they came back then, he told them who he was. He had everybody leave. Oh, now, and you know what? I think they got scared. The Bible said they were dismayed. That means they were terrified. Oh, they thought, now we've had it. Oh, when he said he was Joseph, they were shocked. They didn't recognize him. Oh, and I think, you know what? They thought about those dreams. They thought about those dreams he had told them about. And now it was happening. This whole family was dependent on Joseph. Oh, God had protected him. God had protected him. Yes, he had. He had protected him all of this time. And now he was able to feed everybody there in Egypt that would come, and also those that were coming, others that were coming. And so glad he didn't hold a grudge. He didn't hold a grudge. He just knew God was faithful. And you know, Chesley, let's talk now about Jesus. You know, he was hated, and they hung him on a cross, and it just looked like the end, which is the beginning. That's right, it wasn't the end, it was the beginning. That was the beginning of salvation's plan when he rose from the dead. Hung him on a cross, put him in a grave, and he rose from the dead, and he is alive today, and we can live for him. And ask him to come into your life, and he'll do it, and you start another day, and don't have grudges. Be careful we do not have grudges. If we sense a grudge against somebody, that's something we need to take that to the Lord in prayer. You see, we're sorry and we don't want to have a grudge. Yes, we don't want to have a grudge because we want to trust God. The scripture said, you know, that if we love the Lord and we serve him, we know that he can make all things work for good. And it looks like it won't. But that's the way it happens. And God will turn this thing around and make him a blessing to others. Oh, nice, sure better than holding a grudge. If he'd have held a grudge and he would have gone and pouted somewhere, look, don't tell him what would have happened. Now, I think a lot of folks would have been hungry. A lot of folks could have been hungry, but now, because he didn't hold a grudge, look at the blessing he had. Just let's be like Joseph and Jesus. Joseph was a type. He was like Jesus. So let's be like him. Right now, it's time for you to go to bed. Yeah, I'm not kind of ready for that place over there, that trunk. I don't think so. Oh, Chesley, I think so. This is the second time today you've gotten up, so we think we'll put you back to bed right now. Tell everybody goodbye, and you've really enjoyed being here. I'm going to be there next Sunday. Both this afternoon, we had a little issue today. Yes, we did. Somehow it didn't work out, but we're doing it again, and so we'll go see and make sure it's on this time. And we'll all be ready to see that and hear how it goes. And we'll go ahead and we'll upload it to YouTube and also to Rumble. Right now, I'm gonna go to this. Okay, kids, I'll be back next week. And I wish I could just stay up, but you know, Chesley, you're stalling. We'll see you next time. You have a great, great night's sleep. And all of you, you have a good night's rest and have a great Monday. God bless you.